Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy and ascension forecast for Sunday, June 12th to Saturday, June 18th. So let's recap. Last week, we had Saturn go retrograde on the 4th. This definitely slowed things down, definitely put a new weight of roles and responsibilities on our shoulders. Again, may I remind you to check out the astro forecast that I put out for this, because what I've been noticing is that everybody's a little bit frantic. Everybody is a little bit too hyped up over this Saturn retrograde. Like I mentioned in the astro forecast, this is not a big deal compared to when the inner planets like Venus and Mercury and Mars go retrograde, because Saturn is further away. It's very subtle. And realistically speaking, Saturn spends like 4.5 months every year in a retrograde. It's a time for us to reflect back over the last 12 months to see where our spiritual lessons were really in our face, where we've done the work, where we're going to reap the rewards for that work now, or where we failed to do the work and where we're going to be retested on rebuilding the right kinds of foundation structures, routines in our lives in the here and now in order to actually get ahead. So Saturn going retrograde, like I had mentioned in the astro forecast, really only kind of jolts us within that first week before it happens, after it happens. And again, it will happen in the fall before it stations direct to go direct the week before and the week after. Now, this particular energy has definitely created a lot of friction, a lot of negativity. Many people just over this past week have had to deal with some tough love life lessons, especially where relationships and self-worth are concerned. We had the first quarter moon take place in Virgo. This was definitely a time for us to get nitty-gritty on the details of our lives, recognizing where the chaos, where the lack of clarity has definitely put us in a state of negative Nancy, where it is that we have to rebuild, restructure, reorganize not only some elements in our physical lives, but in our emotions as well. Now, no doubt, if you listened to last week's Ascension forecast, you would have known that we had multiple moon-ruled days. That's why this past week was highly emotional, super fixated in on the relationship dynamics, and where it is that this has been prepping us and priming us not only for the moon to move into Scorpio this weekend, giving us flashbacks, bringing up topics and themes that transpired around that full moon total lunar eclipse in Scorpio during eclipse season, but prepping us and preparing us for the full moon in Sag, which we're going to talk about here in a second. So overall, this last week wasn't very crazy, wasn't very hectic. And I know some of you are out there saying, well, it was a pretty crappy week, pretty heavy, pretty freaking difficult to move through, pretty slow, pretty frustrating. Yep, definitely. You can blame Saturn for that. You can also recognize that we're retracing our steps right now because of Mercury. Mercury this week on the 13th is going to re-enter into Gemini. Gemini is its place of power. Mercury is essentially taking its throne once again. If you have not listened to the astro forecast that I put out for Mercury going retrograde, going direct, and now revisiting the Gemini energy, its place of power, please do so. It literally breaks down where it is that we have to rewind to, which is the beginning of April. We, as of right now, are retracing the final degrees, the final steps in Taurus energy, preparing for this crisis degree that will take place on the 12th, being at that 28, 29 degree in Taurus before jumping back into its place of power in Gemini. Mercury is still not up to speed. He will not be out of his post-shadow period until the 18th. But having him now, wake up and become a little bit more clear, really refining the details, having these aha moments, piecing things together, leaning towards one choice, one option, one direction, one path over the other each and every single day. We are gaining more clarity. Even if it doesn't feel like it, we are. Many of us learning the hard way, recognizing where new information and details details are emerging that we might not like, that throws a wrench into our thoughts, our emotions, our plans. Again, clarity isn't always happy-go-lucky butterflies and rainbows. Clarity usually comes from recognizing the things that we don't want, the things that did pop off, the things that didn't make sense, the things that make us feel horrible, that make us feel negative. And right now, especially because we are building towards this full moon in Sagittarius on the 14th, you best believe that we are recognizing more and more every single day the not so nice qualities and characteristics, thoughts and emotions and memories and details and information coming forth in order for us to see the bigger, brighter picture, using the not so nice elements in order to create a framework on what it is that we want to move away from and what it is we want to move closer to. So we have this full moon in Sag on the 14th taking place at 23 degrees. This again is super important. And again, I am working on the moon guide. I again am late on that. If you haven't learned by now, my procrastinating ass usually pushes things to the absolute boundary, but should be available for download for my subscribers over this weekend. And for those of you who are not subscribers and just like to download them one-off in order to help you kind of align with the moon energies, that should be available for download on my website by the end of the weekend. So the 23 degrees is a pretty important thing because if you've been paying attention, all of our moon aspects have been taking place at these later degrees, this final decan of the degrees in each of these signs, which means that this is a closure point. This is an ending point. We're wrapping things up in order to prepare for new cycles to begin. And each planet, each moon phase, each aspect is giving us a little bit more closure each and every single day. Now, this full moon is going to be super interesting. I will be having a full astro forecast for this full moon in Sag to accompany the moon guide. You'll be able to find that on my channel here on YouTube when this drops. But this full moon in Sag is pretty freaking interesting because normally full moons are about closure and releasing and purging. Well, not this one. This one is giving us a full moon illumination on the clarity that we've been lacking, on the big picture vision that we now need to grasp, on the direction that we're taking. We have to keep in mind we're still in Gemini season. This Gemini Sagittarius axis that we're on, because of course the sun needs to be in Sag in order for us to have a full moon the sun needs to be in Gemini in order for us to have the full moon in Sag. Again, Mercury's still very much messing with my headspace. I am still kind of mixing up my details and got backwards information because I'm not paying attention. And the more and more Mercury kind of gets into its place of power in Gemini, we're going to have that clarity back. We're going to have that consciousness back. We're going to be able to focus in on the details. But right now, at these final degrees of Taurus, our communication is still kind of effed up. Our thought process is effed up. And the information in our heads is coming out ass backwards out of our mouth hole. And I just gave you a prime example of that. So we're in Gemini season. The sun is illuminating for us choices, decision, paths, direction. The full moon is a full illumination, illuminating details that we may have missed, really kind of showing us a bright light in our intuition, in our insights on what it is that we want to do from here. Sag energy is a fire energy. The whole mission of Sag is to not be scatterbrained, not be jumping around so excitedly, to actually pick a direction and hone in on that focus. And the Sag energy ruling over the higher intellect, while Gemini energy rules over the lower intellect, is going to be able to really kind of grasp a vision and a dream, a new goal, a new path, a new direction from our highest mind, and then drop it into the lower level intellect that our ego rules over, where we add the practicality, the logic, the planning, the strategy to some of our new inspirations, our visions, our dreams that, of course, the Sag energy is going to illuminate. So we also have to consider the fact that this Gemini and Sag axis that we're currently going to be experiencing in Gemini season with this full moon in Sag is a reflection back over the last 2.5 years when we had the true nodes, our destiny point in this Gemini and Sag axis. That's why if you go back to the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020, when this quote unquote pandemic popped off, this was about information, breaking down our belief systems from the old and opening up our mind space to the new details, the new information that maybe was hidden from us in previous years due to power, control, and conditioning. That's why the Great Awakening popped off in the way that it did. This is the first aspect that we have on this Gemini and Sagittarius axis with this moon since the true nodes moved into this Taurus and Scorpio axis that we will be in until 2023. So we have a lot of information and details coming at us through this week. The speed is going to pick up a little bit. We're going to see a lot of things pieced together. We're going to see a lot of the details that we missed since April, even into May, really come into fruition. We're going to see progress. We're going to see choices be made, decisions be made, paths be established, directions definitely be initiated. Now, one notable mention that I would like to say here is that Mars will be conjunct, meeting up with, teaming up with Chiron on the 15th. We're already within orb of that. What that means is that, you know, when we talk about direct aspects taking place, that is like the peak of the energy. But astrologers, and depending on what astrologer you're kind of working with or listening to, they will work within a certain orb, meaning how many degrees are we away before we start feeling the influence of this energy building? And right now we are within orb of having this particular energy pop off. And may I remind you, Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our aggression, even our anger, is the divine masculine energy. Chiron, the wounded healer, it has been in Aries for quite some time, will continue to be in Aries for, I think, 2025, 2026. We spend, 7-8 years here in Aries because this Aries energy rules over our ego identity. And this is why we're seeing a lot of information pop up on the greater, grander stage right now of toxic masculinity. Chiron is here to help heal toxic masculinity into the divine warrior that the masculine energy should be in. And this isn't just saying men. We all have masculine energies within us. We all have a wounded ego. We're all rebranding ourselves. We're all reinventing ourselves. We've all taken some hits that have definitely wounded who it is that we thought we were, who it is that we currently are, and now we're in the stage of trying to heal those wounds. Mars conjunct Chiron on the 15th, peaking its energy on the 15th, is going to put us in a position to tap into our wounds and use that as a fuel, as a catalyst to make some major moves. This is going to be taking a huge step forward, a huge action. We are healing some of the fears, some of the insecurities, some of the doubts that we've been having in taking action. We are going to be establishing a very positive direction, mostly from using our aggression, our frustration, and our wounds, again, as the fuel to the fire that we need to spark a fire under our ass, get us going. This is a time to put into action what it is that we've learned. Again, Saturn, the Lord of Karma, is retrograde. We're doing the inner reflection to see where it is that we've been gifted with tough love life lessons in order to build us up, to basically put us in a state of confidence, in order to boss up into a new state of power, a new level of authority, for us to definitely see where it is that those tough love life lessons matured us in a way that prepares us for the next soul contract, timeline, direction. This is going to be a time where our fearlessness is not going to be an issue. We're going to be able to take those risks. We're going to be able to use our fears, use our doubts, use our insecurities to overwrite the system. We're going to be able to use our determination, our aggression in the most positive of ways. But right now, because we're in orb of that, building up to that aspect, many of us are feeling the fear, feeling the state of emotional paralysis, feeling the confusion, not knowing what direction to take, feeling the doubts, feeling the insecurities. But trust that this is part of the process. And because we have Mercury preparing to move into its place of power the day before the full moon, again, our mental plane's coming online. We're making choices, decisions, paths, and directions that are going to benefit us in the long run. Right before the full moon, which is going to free us in a lot of ways to see where it is that the big picture is forming right in front of our eyes, bringing new vision and insight into our highest intellect, dropping it into the lower intellect, making sense of it, adding plan, adding a strategy, adding calculated moves and emotions in order to get the body primed up, ready to take this action that Mars conjunct Chiron is going to inspire us to take. So we got a lot going on. So before we jump into the Ascension symptoms, I want to take this time to take this opportunity to thank you, not only for joining in, not only for listening in, not only for tuning in, but for all the love and support that y'all show me. A couple of instances throughout this past week where we had some not so nice comments posted on my channel. Y'all just jumped up. I can't believe how many of you's got my back in the most positive of ways. Let me tell you, the love and support, the encouragement is just so greatly appreciated. There's always, negative Nancy's out there and Betty the bullies out there. And let me just say that I will continue to never, ever be able to make everyone happy. Everyone's got opinion. Everyone's got a preference. I'm only one person, but let me just say that my heart was 100% full by recognizing where these negative Nancy's came out of the woodwork and where all of you beautiful souled people just jump in order to protect and defend me. Now, that is not anything that I want to see pop off and transpire in the comments and on my channel, because this place is supposed to be a safe place. This is supposed to be a place of love and connection and community. But again, those negative Nancy's, those Betty bullies, they come out, they're trolls, they come out, they just try to trigger. And the way y'all showed up for me was just absolutely amazing. So I want to thank you so much for that. I also want to thank those of you that went out of your way in order to find that link to send me some monetary donations. As uncomfortable as that makes me, I'm totally appreciative, totally grateful. I cannot believe the amount of people that, just send a couple of bucks just in contribution for their gratitude on how much the information that I put out there has helped them. That's why I do this. I just want us all to be happy and healthy and vibing high and just, going through the process of working through our shadow. And, I talked about it before about the monetary exchange and how I'm never, ever going to put myself out there to ask for that. But y'all just seem to find your way into those loopholes and be able to show your love in that form. And I just wanted to thank you for that so, so much. I also have one request that is not about money at all, but many of you, whether you know it or not, I can see the amount of subscribers that I have. I can also see the amount of viewers that come very frequently on my channel or always returning to view my content that have not subscribe to my channel. As a content creator, it is super important. I don't know that you know the value of what it means to have subscribers, to have those likes, to have those comment counts, puts me in the algorithm. Do I care about numbers? Absolutely not. What I do care about is the amount of people that are able to actually see my content and have that message spread as far and as wide as possible. We are at a very pivotal point in this ascension process. I really feel that there are a lot more people waking up in dribs and drabs than we had ever really expected to have at this point in time. And the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the shares, all of that just helps to spread this content out in a very, in a bigger way, in a bigger pool, in a bigger ocean, if you will, to help those newbies that are just, kind of coming online, that are crazy, overwhelmed with the chaos of what it means to detach from the matrix and to be exposed to something bigger and brighter and bigger than us. It is super important that my message gets out there. So take a look. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do that. I cannot tell you how valuable that is to me. And again, every like, every comment, every share just bumps up the algorithm and makes this content more accessible to people who otherwise wouldn't see it. I also want to remind you guys to check out the 2022 energy forecast that I put out in January. I broke the whole year down in little month sections, and it would be super, super valuable for you to just go and reflect over, certain months that have already kind of transpired to see how that aligned with you. And of course, we're in the month of June. It would be awesome to take a look at the month of June and even July so that you know what we're being prepared and built up for. And again, the June energy forecast, the intro and each of the Astro Tarot forecasts, they're there. We all have a plan. We all have a purpose. We're all being prepped and primed for this major event that will be taking place in August with the Lionsgate portal, where we get to jump timelines again. But now we're in the state of experimenting. We're in the state of organizing all of the energies that took place in the eclipse. And that is where I want to start with the Ascension symptoms. I need to give you guys a huge reminder that relationships have been popping off, have been falling apart because of the eclipse that we had. Eclipse season is now over, but now we're dealing with the aftermath, my bad. We're dealing with the aftermath of what happened, what transpired in retrograde season. May I remind you, the true nodes of the moon are on this Taurus and Scorpio axis. Taurus energy is about routines, foundations, stability, starting with our self-worth and how our self-worth mirrors back to us the relationship factors that we have with the people that we have in our lives. Now, a lot of people have been put in a tough situation where they've had to recognize that the ones that they love, the ones that they want so freaking badly to step up, to really meet them halfway, where they are not respecting the new boundaries, the new level of self-worth that we have already initiated, implemented, have reminded these people of, and we're being put in a position right now where many of us are having to walk away from those that we love in order to choose ourselves. Every single time we level up, the people around us either have to level up with us or they have to step out. I just want to remind you that love is not enough to keep a relationship going. It is merely one ingredient that we need in order to make the cake. Love does not conquer all. I will say that, okay? Love always wins. Let me tell you, you always want to use love. But that love that we're talking about is not loving someone so much that you're willing to tolerate their bullshit, their disrespect, their disloyalty. What we're talking about is the love of self, okay? You got to love yourself more than you love that other person. You got to respect yourself more than you respect that other person. You have to be open and aware and recognize where it is that you love yourself more than these people love you. And you have to understand that sometimes you're going to be put in a position, especially where romantic relationships are concerned, where if you are presented with an opportunity to put your foot down, to let the other person know what it is that you need them to change, what it is that you're asking of them, what it is that you think is unfair, what it is that you're no longer willing to tolerate, and you do not see the action from the other person to even attempt to meet you halfway, you're going to have to love that person from a distance, because loving yourself is first and foremost. And what we're currently going through right now at this stage of the awakening, at this stage of the ascension process, is loving ourselves first and foremost. Okay, many of us brought up in a world where we were conditioned to look outside of ourselves for love, for worth, for validation. Those days are over, my friend. We have to do what we need to do to heal the wounds, to fill the voids within ourselves. And we will see the energy, the efforts, the productivity of our own healing journey through the people that we share our lives with. Saturn just went retrograde. This is karma. Saturn is in Aquarius. Aquarius energy has us focused on making other people happy first. What's better for other people? What's best for the group? What's best for the collective? What sits across from that Aquarian energy is Leo energy, where oneself has to be top dog, where our happiness, our worth, our joy, our love for ourselves, doing what we got to do for ourselves first and foremost, has to trump what it is that we are willing to do to make other people happy. So we had the Lord of Karma go retrograde. This is why the tough love life situations and life lessons are coming up, full stop. This is why the relationship dynamic is changing, because the relationship with ourselves is changing. And many of the people that we've chosen to have in our life, they're just not willing to do the work that we are doing within ourselves to meet us on the same level, even halfway. And for that reason, you need to really step back and ask yourself, do I have all the ingredients needed to make this cake? Because love, my friends, love is merely one ingredient that makes a good, healthy, supportive, encouraging relationship. And many of us are just sitting here trying to make a cake just with flour, right? Just with egg. How many ingredients do you have to put in the bowl in order to actually see that beautiful cake come out in its most purest form, in its most delicious form, in its most perfect form? I can guarantee you can't make a cake with just one ingredient. And although love is great, love is grand, love is divine, you need more ingredients in order to make this relationship work. So love yourself enough to realize that you are being put and tested in situations right now, especially in your relationship factor, to see whether or not you're going to love and respect yourself enough and more than the people around you. And sometimes that means that you got to walk your ass away. So I bring that up because many people are dealing with relationship dynamics right now, popping off, falling apart. Let me remind you, it's not just romantic relationships, it's family dynamics, it's partnerships in business, it's friendships, it's basically whoever it is that you have an energetic connection and relationship dynamic with in your life, whoever it is that you talk to, whoever it is that you share your energy with, that is a relationship dynamic. And let me tell you, the reason why people come into your life and fall away is due to the vibration and the frequency that you're holding within yourself. And when we do the work on ourselves to level up, to find our worth, to find our value, to find a new level of wholeness within ourselves, we really get to see the people in our lives from a different light. And sometimes that light isn't as bright, isn't as wholesome, isn't as pretty as we would like to see it. And sometimes that means that we do have to close the door, we do have to walk away. So if you're currently going through this particular life lesson, I'm sending you nothing but love. It ain't easy. But what I can tell you is that the more that you heal yourself, the more you heal those wounds, the better the quality of people that you will actually attract, that will meet you halfway, that will stick around, that will mirror back to you the kind of love, the kind of worth, the kind of value that you work so hard to actually find and establish within yourself. A lot of the reasons why we're kind of conflicted right now is because we're kind of being torn in these two different directions. May I remind you, Mercury is a huge factor. He rules over our mental plane. He rules over communication. He rules over the information and details that we weren't illuminated to while he was retrograde. We just had this beautiful Mercury and Pluto aspect. This was the third aspect that has taken place since April. The first one in April definitely had us focused in on lies and betrayal, having, the obsessive negative narrative come to the top, come to the surface, really kind of mix things up in a darker sense. The second time that happened in May, of course, Mercury and Pluto were both retrograde. This gave us an inner look at our inner narratives and where our wounds may be attracted, certain situations, certain people, certain life lessons to us, and where it is that we had an opportunity to rewrite that. Now, because Mercury and Pluto kind of popped off again, they trined in the most positive of ways. This is the third and final aspect that now is revealing certain amount of information, details, truth, perspective, perception, understanding that we didn't get to see the first time around. So like I had mentioned earlier, we're gaining clarity by recognizing that information, details, perception, understanding, perspectives that aren't so nice are providing us with a clear picture on what it is that we're done with, what it is that we're not revisiting. Having an understanding that that needed to happen in order to prep and prepare us for the here and now, so that we can stop looking back at our past for answers, for clarity on what it is that we're doing in the here and now and what it is that we want to be doing in our future. And now, with Mercury retracing his steps at the final degrees in Taurus, and again, taking his place of power, taking his throne, putting the crown back on his head when he moves into Gemini on Monday, now we're going to be able to get the party started, actually moving forward, not being so consumed with the past, not being so consumed with trying to understand how we got here, and instead appreciate the here and now and start using the life lessons, the wisdom, the knowledge that we've gained from the past in the here and now in order to build a healthier version of ourselves and plan and strategy to move forward with in the future. So, when it comes to the physical symptoms that we are currently experiencing at this particular point in the calendar, in the season, in the zodiac wheel, in the ascension process, there's a lot of pressure from the shoulders up. Now, the weight on our shoulders, the weight on our chest, the inability to take a deep breath and feel satisfied, all of that is very Saturn related, right? Saturn rules the roles and responsibilities in our lives, rules over our bone structure. And the weight right now is coming in to the head space because we're in Gemini season. Mercury, again, retracing the steps through Taurus, preparing to move into Gemini again. And Gemini rules over the lower level intellect. It is our headspace. We're having headaches. We're having dizziness. We're having confusion. We're having head pressure, a lot of crown activations. We're having I don't want to say ear aches, but ear discomfort. We're having pain in our neck, pain in our shoulders. Our heads feel like they weigh 40 pounds. We're having congestion in our sinuses. We're having, liquid and white, gross, snotty discharge come out of our sinuses right now. We're having pressure behind our eyes, dry eyes, feels like sandpaper all up in there. We're having itchiness in our ears, wax buildup in our ears. All the pressure is in our headspace. We're having sore throats, scratchy throats. We're having itchy throats. We're having bumps on our tongue. We're having issue with our gums. We are literally biting our tongues. We are having cracked lips. All of that is throat activations. All of that is Mercury rules. All of that is because the energy, the aggression, the anger, the frustration of Mars being in Aries, Jupiter being in Aries, Chiron being in Aries. We want to speak out. We don't know what we're speaking out about. We want to scream. We're on the battlefield just to scream it, right? But right now, we have to move our bodies. Might not feel like we want to because many of us are heavy. We're weighted. We're low vibe. Much of that, again, Saturn rules the skeletal structure. Definitely highlighting the rigidity in our hips and our knees. Fear is stored in our knees. This Sag energy is a fire energy, but it needs us to move. If you need to dance in the kitchen, pop something off, do the funky chicken. I don't care what you do. If you need to jog in spot, do that. We need to move the energy. Again, may I remind you that the physical symptoms only show up to show us the energetic blockages from the emotions that we have trapped in our cellular memory, in our physical form, in order for us to recognize what area of the body we're storing this energy in so that we can do the mental and emotional work and physically move our physical meat suits in order to bust up those energetic blocks and get the channels wide and clear and open for these light codes, for this intuition, for this love, for this vibration, for this frequency to be able to move freely through our physical form. This particular, I'm going to say chapter, this level of the video game that we're in is very focused on the shoulders to the crown. Now, let me just say this. Last week, I know I went on a rant about the focus of your attention, what it is that you allow to be put in your mind space, because Again, we create our own realities, and the collective hive mind is very focused on fear right now and division right now. And that's going to continue. That's a complexity of the 3D matrix, Earth realm that we live in. Divide and conquer is their main mission. And we have to do our part to recognize the game that they're playing in order to override the system and rise above that. We have a lot of energy in this higher part because there's new light codes coming in from the cosmos, from our star families, that are trying to help us get through this particular chapter. But so many people are fixated on ascension and have not mastered the wholeness, the openness that the lower chakras that rule and connect us to our earthly realm that are needed in order for us to be grounded enough to actually channel the energy in. Everybody is so focused on, going to New Earth, when you don't understand that New Earth is a state of mind. It can be captured and lived in the here and now, but you have to have the ability to embody the qualities and characteristics, the vibration and frequency of that higher level consciousness, and hold it in your physical vessel and have it feel good through every single chakra that your physical body is connected to. This isn't about us detaching from our physical forms to go live in a higher vibration consciousness state in a different realm. This is about us bringing heaven to earth. This is about us bringing these higher vibrations and frequency in through the crown head space, into our third eye sinuses, into our throat chakra to speak the truth, into the heart space, which technically your heart chakra is the middle ground. Your heart chakra, when it is open, when it is activated, is the channel that brings the energy down into the lower chakra system, your root, your sacral, your solar plexus, that does primarily root into this physical earth. And many people, either have, I'm not even going to say that many people have even done the work in the lower chakra system, because if you're tired, if you're sleeping, if you're still focused on survival, if you are still putting junk in your body, if you don't have any creative energy in you, if you're still wondering who it is that you are and the direction that you should take, those are indicators that your lower chakra system that rules over this physical earth and this physical meat suit have not been open correctly, are not functioning correctly, or not even spinning in the right direction. Which means that if your heart chakra is open and your throat chakra is open and your third eye is open and your crown is open, you're only able to bring that energy in from the cosmos and it gets stuck in your chest. That's not good. We don't want that. That means that you're only able to live in New Earth or bring heaven to earth in your mind state. The whole point here is for us to find the beauty, the pleasure, the happiness, the joy in this physical earth plane, which requires all chakras to be open, cleared, communicating with one another. The channel needs to be open 100%. The information, the intelligence from the cosmos needs to run through your body, go out through your feet, and recycle that energy coming in from Gaia. We are literally the mediums, if you will, the channels, if you will, that allows Mother Earth to speak with quote unquote Father Sky. And in between that, we are the dualistic form that needs to alchemize both light and dark, needs to alchemize star seed intelligence with human earth intelligence, need to alchemize the mind, the body, and the soul in order to be a whole functioning unit. So I always am seeing people say, oh, I can't wait to ascend. I can't wait to get to New Earth. Well, first of all, I don't know why you can't wait. You can have it now. Do the work. Second of all, the whole point is to be present in the here and now, to have the attitude, the gratitude in the here and now. This is not about, hoping for this great solar flash that so many people are fixated on in order to see New Earth form. You can live in New Earth whenever the hell it is that you want. And I hate to even use the word hell, because that's what the 3D Earth plane wants you to live in, is hell. So if you are blocked from your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus chakra, if you're blocked in that, your physical body is living in hell. Your physical body is so anchored in the lower vibrational and frequencies of what it means to be a human that you don't stand a chance in living into New Earth. New Earth is not only a state of consciousness, it's a state of being. And you can't be sitting around desiring a destination that you could have now if you just opened all of your chakras and recognized that you have the choice on what state of living, what state of being, what state of consciousness you're choosing to experience each and every single day. And I think, again, it's nobody's fault. I think this new age spiritual community is so full of frauds and fakes and just non-legit people talking about matters that they don't even understand themselves, that it has totally polluted the minds, the energy, the understanding of so many people. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't see life from that perspective. I wish I could literally, just take my understanding and articulate it in a way so that everybody's on the same page, so that we understand what this process is about and how to embody this energy, this frequency, this consciousness in the here and now, and how to do it. I get overwhelmed because this is first nature for me. I don't think about it, and I find it hard to even explain to people how I got here because I died, I have the knowledge that I have the understanding, the perception that I have because I went to the other side. And when I had to be shoved back into this meat suit and felt the pain and the suffering of the collective in my human body, I brought the intelligence and the wisdom, the knowledge with me. And I find it hard when people say, like, we talked last week, and thank you all so much. I talked last week about how, I don't know how I was nominated to be a teacher, and y'all are just so freaking amazing, speaking on how, that you all see my teachings, my wisdom, my knowledge, the connection that I have as a form of teaching. And that was a huge energy boost. I'm definitely trying to wrap my head around that and understand it from a different perception so that I can try to break what I know to be true down in a way that, could benefit other people. But I just feel like, the whole spiritual new age community is just so freaking confused. And at no point am I trying to sit on my high horse and say that I got it all figured out. But I do know just by observing the awareness that other people have, that I obviously have a different set of eyes, a different brain, a different consciousness, a different understanding of what's going on here. I don't understand how people don't understand this. And I find it very hard to try and break it down, to explain to people how to, do the work and how to, anchor in the energies and have that perspective and have that awareness and the understanding, because it comes naturally to me. And so I am struggling to figure out how to, I guess, adapt my knowledge and experience and wisdom into a format that I could easily communicate and articulate to help everyone kind of understand on how to go through this process. I'm still working on it. I'm hoping that when Mercury moves into Gemini and gets everybody's wheels a turning in their brains, that it's going to come a little bit more easily to me. But right now, with Mercury still in Taurus, I got tunnel vision on, and I keep banging my head off this rock, looking at people's understanding and awareness and perception of what's going on, and just being confused on why they are so confused. And I got nobody else to blame other than the new age and spiritual community and all the frauds in it. And I am not one of those frauds. I feel like the reason why I'm so timid and why I don't like to do this work, and I don't like to speak on it, and I don't like to put myself out there, and I don't like to capitalize on providing people with my services, is because I don't want to ever be chunked up in the same group as the frauds out there. And I would hate to think that, the way that people look at some of these spiritual mentors as messiahs is the number one thing that I don't want, because you're never supposed to idolize a man. The only thing that you're ever supposed to idolize is God, right? False prophets, false idols will get you in trouble. And there's so many fraudulent spiritualists out there looking to be idolized, looking to, capitalize on the glorification of being able to embody the qualities and characteristics of the Messiah, that turns my freaking stomach. But I also see the other side of the coin where, the legit people, the authentic people are needed now more than ever in order to be the light, to be the voice, to spread the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience, to override these fraudulent people, and to trust that when you speak from a raw and authentic place of truth within you, that people recognize that. And I hope that people are open enough in their intuition and in their healing journey that they're able to discern, bullshit from truth. It's a scary thing to watch people's perception, understanding, and awareness based off of their comments, especially on these platforms, because it would seem to me that people are not within themselves to trust their judgment, to really discern the frauds and the fakes from the actual authentic people with actual knowledge, actual wisdom, and actual gifts. So that's a little bit scary. But I'm going to do my best. And I hope that, my truth is heard. My truth is felt, most of all. I don't even care if it's heard. I hope it's felt. And I appreciate every single one of you that continue to drop me lines in the comments to let me know that, the words that I'm spitting here, that they receive them loud and clear, that it makes good sense, that it feels good. That means that I'm doing something good and doing something right. And that, we're going to one by one wake up people from the fraudulent spiritual and new age community that has done absolutely nothing but to further contaminate and further confuse the masses of people that are just looking for leadership, for the light bringer, for the truth. And so, I know I detoured there very, very, very badly, but me, I go on a rant and then I have to run with the rant, and then here we are. So, we talked about, the shoulder pain, the weight of the world's on our shoulder, on our chest, the headaches, the dizziness, the ears. Keep in mind that, we do have to sort through and process different perspectives and concepts and ideas, which, all the planets right now are in the very first quarter, if you will, of the astrology wheel. And I feel like, another digression here. I am working on bringing forth a couple of different series, not only about astrology, but like answering a lot of the frequently asked questions that I get. But what I would like to bring to your attention is that the first 4 signs of the zodiac wheel, which is Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, that is the development of the individual self. And we have all of these personal planets, especially, and some big heavy hitting planets there as well, in this first quarter of the astrology wheel. And this is why I say to you, we are in a state of reinvention, of rebranding our identity and who it is that we are. The Aries energy is the spark, the seed, the life force energy that makes us happy and excited and gives us passion and desire and the want, the need for experience. The Taurus energy is where we bring that spark, that passion into fruition, where we manifest it, bring it into the physical, the tangible. Gemini energy is when we put some thought, some strategy, some, calculated processing behind what it is that we're bringing to life. And then the Cancer energy, which we will be moving into later on this month, helps us not only bring it into our gut, bring it into our emotional field, use our intuition in order to really guide us to how it is that we are, bringing certain things to life, but it rules over the foundation that we're building based off of the process that we have to go through the zodiac wheel. And let me just remind you that the zodiac wheel is a play-by-play of our soul's evolution. And I just want to bring to your attention right now that this is why we're undergoing the kind of pressures that we're undergoing, where, new ideas are concerned, where new passions are concerned, where new directions are concerned, where changes in our physical circumstances are concerned, where the pressure in our head is concerned, because there's a lot of information we have to process in order to actually decide upon, which we will decide upon before Gemini season is over, before we take that decision in our heart space, in our intuition, in our emotional field, and build a foundation out of it that is going to be safe and secure enough for us to build off of, which is very much the Cancer season. So, we're only in this first quarter, And we have a lot of processing to do. And a lot of this processing is having a major effect on, like I said, our crown, our head space, our eyes, our ears, our mouth, our throat, our shoulders. And we have to get the body moving in order to open those channels up and remove those emotional blockages. So the high pitch frequencies, you may notice that, especially, I'll say this, pay attention to the people that you've been around for a while and notice how their voice has changed. Notice how your perception of the decibel level in their voice has changed. Now, one would say, now, is it the voice that has changed, or is it our processing that has changed? And it is very much our processing, our sensory processing has changed. We are more sensitive to higher pitched frequencies now than ever, just as we are more able to perceive higher vibration and frequencies in our eyes. So I had someone reach out in the comments and ask me what I thought about these new orange, fiery like light beings that are now presenting themselves in meditation, in dream states, sometimes to the naked eye, but many of us aren't at the level of embodying the higher vibrations and frequency through our open chakra level system to be able to have the actual open, awake, visual experience that many people are hoping for. And what I will say to that, light beings are light beings, okay? It's not them, like they're not mood rings. They don't change colors. We are humans, right? Hues, the color, the frequency, the colors of the rainbow. That's why the chakra system all rules over different colors. We are essentially light beings. Light, again, the spectrum of light reflects all the colors of the rainbow. We are light beings housed in a meat suit that is dense enough to block out our light. That's why we go by energy and vibes, because we have to kind of, move past the physicality in order to feel the light, the vibration, the frequency from our energy, from our soul space. But other interdimensional beings or galactic beings or extraterrestrials, whatever the hell you want to call it, anything other than us humans, right? Man, again, 666, carbon-based density is the meat suit that we have to hold our hue, our vibration and frequency in our meat suit. We, as humans, can only perceive a certain level, a certain spectrum of light with our physical eyes. The light beings that we are now able to perceive, again, in meditation, in, dream state, in astral travel, whatever the case may be, they're not mood rings. They're not like, oh, today we're going to be the color blue. Today we're going to be the color orange. No, it is our work, our journey, our ability to push the boundaries of the spectrum of light that our physical eyes are able to actually see and process within us. It is us that is pushing the boundaries of being able to see certain levels of light. So if you have like orange orbs that are appearing to you, first of all, it's a good indication that you need to be working on your sacral chakra, where the orange chakra, kind of collabs and coordinates in your physical body. That is sexual energy, that is creativity, that is within your inner chakra. But also the orbs, let's say that you're seeing orange orbs or orange figures, that isn't a new being. That isn't like a new genre or a new culture of orange light people. That is just a light being that you're perceiving at the orange vibration and frequency of the spectrum of light. And that's why as you go through your healing journey, as you expand and do the work on your chakras, on your energy, on your vibration, on your frequency, you will see different color orbs. You will see different color figures. That is not a race of energy beings presenting themselves in a different color. That is you being able to perceive using your mind's eye or your physical eye a different level within the light spectrum. So we are going through this hypersensitive sensory processing issue where, again, the sounds that we've been used to are changing. The light that we are seeing is changing. Our taste buds are changing. Our smell is changing. Our touch is changing. And again, that is just expanding the vibration and frequency in our meat suits that open us up and expose us to the next level spectrum of experience that we're able to actually perceive in our physical realms, going beyond the physicality, the dense materialistic realm of what this material 3D earth is built upon. We're able to perceive, vibrations, frequencies, sound, all of that stuff outside of the physical realm that we've been so used to. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about is time. So I just want to ask you, and please be very open and honest, drop me a line in the comments. When you reflect over this past week, did it go faster or slower for you? Because last week we talked about how there was a time shift, there was a bend in the time-space continuum. How for the most of us, things were going at a very rapid space, but most of that was inner chaos, not really seeing the physical repercussions match up with the amount of change that we were perceiving within ourselves. But what I will say is normally on Friday, I'm like, oh my goodness, it felt like yesterday. Just felt like yesterday that we did the Ascension forecast, that I had to go live in the chat, that we got to build and connect in our beautiful community. Seems like just yesterday. This week, I was like, damn, it just felt like a month since last Friday, right? And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but here's what I will say. In my own experience, time in this physical realm has slowed down. My perception of being able to see futuristic time has sped up. So again, in my inner realm, where I've been able to process information and perceive insights, premonitions, if you want to call it that, visions, dreams of the future, has sped up. The emotional processing has sped up. The mental processing has sped up. But in my physical realm, time has slowed down. So much to the extent that every show that I've been able to watch, every podcast that I've been able to watch, all of this stuff, all of this content, it feels like it's lagging. The words are not matching up with the sound. I was sitting here with a family member of mine and we were watching TV and I said, and I don't normally watch TV, but they're still stuck in 3D. So, trying to be a good host, I turned on the TV for them. I said, to you, is the sound matching up with their mouths? And they had no problem. It was perfect for them. And for the last, I'm going to say 4 solid days, the mouths on TV are not matching up with the sound. Everything is lagging. Everything is behind in the perception of the information that's going through my eyes, my ears, touch, smell, whatever. Everything seems a little bit wonky, but for me, time has slowed down in the physical realm, and yet time has sped up, let's say, in my inner realm. And I do think that Saturn going retrograde and Mercury, Mercury's coming out of a retrograde, Saturn's going into a retrograde. I feel like those conflicting forces are really creating a very interesting bend in time and space in our physical realms. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm blaming. But I'd be interested to know whether you guys thought that this past week went super freaking fast or whether it dragged ass and went super freaking slow. Also, if you've been experiencing the lag in the voices not matching up with the words, I would love to know that as well. Now, one thing that I want to say is that we had a lot of digestive issues pop off over this last week, mostly because of that first quarter moon in Virgo. Virgo rules over the digestive system. There's been a lot of spasms, a lot of extremes too. So if you've been constipated, you should have had a release. The floodgates should have opened. Bottom, we can turn that around. If your bottom area has been bothering you and it's been nothing but open gates, you likely are going to be bound up as we go through this weekend. Digestive system, meaning you either are so freaking hungry you can't get enough, or you have no want, need, or desire for food at all. You either have extreme acid reflux and heartburn, or again, not experiencing any of that other than hunger pains even as you've eaten. You've just finished a meal, literally like an hour later, it feels like you haven't eaten at all. Digestive system issues will take us into the full moon. The full moon, I would likely think that we are going to kind of move out of the physicality part of our physical body, seeing that Sag is, you know, in the last quadrant of the zodiac wheel. That's kind of where we bust free of our physical bodies to align with the higher vibrations and frequency of our soul body, our soul self. So if you're still experiencing the lower level discomfort in your physical body, you might see that shift with the full moon in Sag. So I talked about the lump in the throat, the clearing of the throat, the itchy throat, the gums. I talked about the congestion in the head and the sinuses, the snot, the discharge. I want to talk about overall itchiness. I especially want to talk about not necessarily itchiness as in a physical sensation, more of a emotional sensation. The itch for change is really, really getting extreme. The itch for connection is overwhelming. The itch for something new, the itch for sexual desires, the itch for creativity, the itch for a fresh start. Those itches that you can't technically scratch right now are becoming extreme because we are on the precipice of actually seeing major change take place. Again, we're still in the process of trying to debate within the vision of what it is that we want for ourselves. Again, Gemini energy. And we will, over the next week, especially with that full moon in Sag, see that itchiness to create something new, to start something new, to have that connection, to have a level of intimacy, to jump into new paths, new directions. We will see that become a little bit more solid, a little bit more fermented, I guess. We're debating it out right now, but just keep in mind that, you know, we're moving into Cancer season on the 21st with the solstice. So that really only gives us a week and a couple of days in order to, you know, get firm on our choices, on our decision, on our path, on our direction before we go ahead and actually emotionally agree with our headspace and engage our physical bodies to start building the foundation in our inner realm and start like reorganizing, restructuring the elements in our physical realm, in our earthly realm, to start supporting some of the decisions that our heart and our head have arrived upon. So we are going to still continue to feel that overwhelming, you know, inner processing, inner chaos, and still kind of wonder, although so much has changed, how come our exterior realms, our physical realms kind of look the same, right? And we are going to be moving into a situation, especially when we get out of this first quarter of the zodiac wheel, where we're going to be putting things into action. We're going to see major changes, major restructuring, major reorg in our physical realms to catch up with the inner processing that we're currently going through. So this itchiness to start something new, you might be getting butterflies in your stomach or flutters of nervousness, flutters of anxiety or anticipation. All of that should just be an indication that you know that you're on the cusp of leaving one thing and jumping into another. Let that, even the uncertainty, let that excite you instead of create anxiety. You have a choice on the label that you choose to give your emotions. And let me just tell you, emotions are merely different vibrations and frequencies that we experience. So, you know, anticipation, anxiety, restlessness, nervousness, they're all so freaking close in the spectrum of the hertz of the vibration and frequency that you need to be kind of living at, that it's up to you on how you want to label that. One person could say, oh my goodness, I feel like something's about to happen and I'm not sure what it is. And I feel like things are about to change. And one person might label that anxiety because they feel the want, need, and desire to have control over their aspect in their life. And another person could give that exact same description and call that anticipation, being excited for change, being excited, not knowing what's around the corner. So, do you want to be an adventurer or do you want to be a controller? And we all have certain qualities and characteristics of both of that in us. But I just welcome you, just recognize that anxiety is a lower vibration while anticipation is a higher vibration. Feels the same. Your mental perspective of it is different, but the energy is very much the same. So I would welcome you to, get a little bit more fine-tuned with your emotional compass and recognize that maybe the label that you're assigning to a certain vibration, frequency, and feeling, maybe that could use a new label. Maybe you could play opposite. We live in upside down world where, the evildoers and the good and the bad and the blah, blah, blah. Maybe you could play upside down day with yourself and you could say, oh, I'm having anxiety. And that might be the norm for you. And you could say, okay, this is upside down day. How about this anxiety is actually excitement, anticipation today? And see how that feels. See how that changes your perspective, changes your perception, changes your whole outlook, your vibe, your frequency. I welcome you to challenge yourself. That's the only way we can do the work. It's the only way we can open our mind space up. And we're in Gemini season, which is an absolute perfect time to open up our minds, to adopt a new method, adopt a new perspective, adopt a new way, a new understanding, a totally different narrative on how it is that we usually speak to ourselves, understand ourselves, and project ourselves out in the world. So guys, that's all I got for you this week. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it triggered something in you. Hopefully you resonated with some messages. If you have any questions, have any comments, please drop me a line below and I'd be happy to address them one by one. And guess what? We have a beautiful community of very, very knowledgeable people here with lots of wisdom, lots of love and support to share. I'm sure if you're struggling and you drop a comment, you will just be overwhelmed with the love and support and the encouragement that you're going to receive from all these beautiful souls here in this community. I want to thank you once again for tuning in, not only for me, but for yourself. I send you nothing but love. I hope you have a beautiful week, and we'll talk to you soon.